Welcome to another edition of Currently in Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano. On today's program, we get to talk with the car doctor. Yep, John Paul from AAA Northeast is here. All things automotive. First, though, we'll check out the weather and the news for you this morning. Currently in Quincy, kind of cloudy out there. It's 66 degrees right now. Look out for the wind and rain to start up. Probably not till this evening as Dorian passes off the coast. Temperatures today up around 70 degrees. The wind and rain will continue through the evening and overnight hours. Tonight's low around 60. Tomorrow is going to start out kind of stormy with the effects of Dorian, then a tropical storm, some gusty winds, some heavy downpours, and highs tomorrow in the upper 60s. Might see some clearing, believe it or not, by tomorrow afternoon. Look at Sunday. Looks really nice. Partly sunny, mid-70s. Pretty nice to start next week as well, with sunshine both days and highs near 70 degrees. Right now, again, cloudy and 66 here in Quincy. In the news today, 2 men have been charged with dealing in over $450,000 worth of marijuana right here in Quincy recently. 32-year-old Phu Thok from Quincy, 34-year-old Dung Han from Dorchester, both arrested when police executed search warrants. This happened at a home on Greystone Street in West Quincy. Officers say those men were loading over 200 pounds of pot into a U-Haul truck when they arrived on the scene. Police also seized 3 loaded gun clips, some marijuana edibles, and over $2,700 in cash, along with some other drug paraphernalia. Both men face drug trafficking and other charges in Quincy district courts. A Revere man has been charged with shooting another man in the leg at a Quincy playground. This happened back in July. 29-year-old Hao Hun was arrested by state police in Revere recently, charged with the shooting at the Welcome Young Park on Sagamore Street in North Quincy. Back on July 6th, police responded to a call for shots fired. They found the victim at the park. He was treated for non-life-threatening injuries at Boston Medical Center. Hun is being held right now in $25,000 cash bail. He pleaded not guilty to charges that include assault with intent to murder and is due back in Quincy District Court on September 27th. Now, the legal fight continues over a proposal for a new Long Island bridge and a natural gas compressor station in North Weymouth. Quincy City Council this week did approve another $200,000 to cover the legal costs associated with fighting both projects. The council previously approved $250,000 for legal costs associated with the Long Island Bridge plan. Quincy Mayor Thomas Koch says that he is willing to keep up the fight.
Well, that's the argument. There's also an argument that before the bridge, they ran ferry service to that island. What I find fascinating, the administration of Boston is so eager to get this going, get people back out there, yet they haven't done a thing to the buildings out there. They could even be doing that by ferry, getting the work out there and the buildings in shape. So I've yet to see a plan by the mayor of Boston. They've talked about putting people out there, but what's the plan? Is it short-term recovery? Is it detox? Is it long-term recovery? Is it homes for people as they get back on their feet and try to go to work? What kind of traffic will that generate? Each of them have a car. People going to be bused. I mean, there's a million questions that go unanswered, and it just doesn't make sense to me.
Boston wants to replace the bridge that was torn down 4 years ago and open up a substance abuse treatment center on Long Island. And Spectra Energy wants to build a natural gas compressor station on the Fore River in North Weymouth. Opponents of that argue that it will add to the already dangerous air pollution in that area. A hearing will be held soon after a woman was bitten by a dog in Quincy this week. Police say it happened on Elmwood Avenue near Norfolk Street back on Monday. The video of the incident here was posted on Facebook. The 30-year-old woman was attacked by a 2-year-old cane corso, which is kind of similar to a mastiff and can be about 100 pounds at that age. The woman was treated for several bite wounds at Quincy Medical Center. The dog's handler told police he was dog sitting for a family member who was out of state. The dog was not on a leash but was not quarantined. Animal control officers will be holding a hearing on the incident to determine the dog's future. Now that you are up to date with weather and news, let's check out our programming lineup for later on today here on Quincy Access Television. Starts with a replay of this program currently in Quincy today at 5 o'clock. At 5:30, messages from the candidates in next Tuesday's Quincy preliminary election. Sound advice at 6 p.m. with attorney Thomas Williams.
Hello, folks. I'm attorney Tom Williams, and welcome to Sound Advice.
6:30 currently in Quincy, the interviews. We feature the Quincy Salvation Army. Then at 7 o'clock a.m. Quincy, as we welcome the Friends of the Thomas Crane Public Library. Get a preview of next Tuesday's election tonight at 7:30 on In the Know. Then at 7:45 on In the Know, it's all about a new lead abatement program here in Quincy. The candidates' messages for you again tonight at 8:15 on Channel 8. Then at 8:30, the Hancock-Adams Common dedication ceremony that was held 1 year ago this Sunday. Democracy Now! Tonight at 10:40 p.m. Check out Channel 9 every day. Learn about Quincy City Department's different committee activities. Starts at 5:30 with Quincy in Focus. Six o'clock, the Norfolk County Prevention Coalition program featuring Impact Norwood tonight. Timely topic on FYI from the Quincy Health Department tonight at 6:30. We go back to school. In the Know at 7 o'clock on Channel 9 with next Tuesday's election preview. Brand new at 7:30, a conversation with Quincy Counselor at Large, Nina Lang. And at the library concert at 8 o'clock featuring Sparrow Blue. And then find out what's happening at your library for September at 9 o'clock.
Welcome to At Your Library.
10 o'clock, the Massachusetts Joint Committee on Public Safety and Homeland
On
Security.
behalf of Chairwoman Benson and myself, I'd like to welcome you to...
You can get a complete program schedule over on our website. Just go to qatv.org, and when you get there, click on Program Schedule. Don't forget to please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Check out our weekly ad in the Quincy Sun. Coming up, we take a look at just a few of the current events and activities we're showing right now in our electronic bulletin board on Channel 8 for your information. Please stay with us. We're back with you in just 1 minute. Welcome back. Here is a check of some of the current events and activities we're showing on our electronic bulletin board on Channel 8 for you to know about. Don't forget, the Quincy Farmers Market is open every Friday from 11:30 to 5 up at Pageant Field right through November. You'll find locally grown fruits and veggies along with some local artisans, crafters, and there's free live entertainment every Friday too. You can visit quincyfarmersmarket.com for more information. The Quincy Animal Shelter inviting you to several upcoming fundraisers. The next one is happening September 21st from 10 to 5 at Passanejesset Park over at Broadmeadows on Howes Neck for Pawtastic Park. Visit their website, quincyanimalshelter.org, for all the details. Second annual Spotlight on Parkinson Symposium is happening September 20th. From 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. This will be at Florian Hall over in Dorchester. Please call 617-789-3320 to register for the event. It's being sponsored by St. Elizabeth's Medical Center. Country Fest on the Common is coming to the Hancock-Adams Common in Quincy Center September 14th from 2 to 6 p.m. featuring local country and western musicians. This is free and open to everyone. And if you have an event or an activity that you'd like to promote, visit our website, qatv.org. Just download a bulletin board request form, fill it out and send it in. Get your message up here on Channel 8 too. Coming up, we sit down and have a chat with the car doctor. John Paul from AAA Northeast is here. That's next. Welcome back. The summer driving season is winding down now and getting ready for fall. I thought it'd be a good time to check in with John Paul, the car doctor from AAA Northeast, chat a little bit about how the summer went and what's coming up in the falls. John, welcome back.
Well, thanks. Always great to be here.
It's a seasonal appearance, I guess, right?
Yeah. As the seasons change, I show up again.
That's right.
Yeah, like leaves on the ground.
Next time it'll be, well, we won't even say
let's not say
the four-letter
that.
word that begins with S. Rhymes with row. How'd the summer go?
It was good. It was good, yeah. A lot of people on the road this summer. I think the economy really played a big part of that too. The Cape was very busy, even with sharks and extra fees people had to pay.
Tornadoes.
The Cape was busy, but so wasn't everywhere. We talked to the Chamber of Commerce out in the Great Barrington area. They were busy. They saw a lot of tourist activity. So it was good all the way around. And even traditional spots, Disney in Orlando and that whole Orlando theme park area was busy. And out in New York City, of course, I would never think of going to Manhattan for vacation, but apparently a lot of people do. Go to New York and spend 3 or 4 days there and have a good time and see the shows and see the sights. And so there's a lot of people on the road, and part of it too could be that gas has started to go down a little bit over the past few months, and I think some of the lowest prices we saw were in the 230s right now for gas, so pretty affordable. And I think there may even be, depending on storms and everything else, there may even be some room for those gasoline prices to go down a little bit more.
Okay, that's good news. Something to look forward to.
Yeah,
for sure.
and you know, if you're filling up your car and it's costs you $20 every week, and all of a sudden it costs you 17 or 18.
Yeah.
I mean, it does. $2 isn't a lot, but over the course of a year, a little bit of money in your pocket, you decide to spend it someplace else.
Yeah, it's kind of a mental thing too, isn't it?
Yeah.
It just makes you feel a little better.
A little bit better. I mean, again, it's not a lot of money that you're saving over the course, but if you look at the 300 million cars that are on the road,
Wow.
and everybody saves, $10 or a month, all of a sudden that's more math than I can do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's a lot of savings all the way across the country. So it's good. But you're right. When we talk about vacation, still, even when gas prices go up, well, instead of going out to a nice restaurant, you get pizza.
Right.
And people aren't going to really change your vacation plan for the cost of filling up a gas tank.
Yeah. Did we see that translate over to airfares and like railroad fares as well?
Airfares are one of those things that are sort of hard to manage price-wise. Even though jet fuel has gone down in price, it hasn't gone down as quickly or as fast as gasoline has. And that's the same thing with heating oil too. Heating oil is still pretty expensive compared. And you look at diesel fuel, which you look at fuel for jets, fuel for your oil burner at home, and diesel cars. Diesel is still about $3 a gallon.
And it used to be cheaper.
And it used to be cheaper,
Yeah.
and then it started to be about the same price as mid-grade. Then it was about the same price as premium, and there may be even a diesel fuel spike coming up because, and I don't fully understand it, but it has something to do with the ships that transport the fuel have to go under some new guidelines. And there isn't as many ships, and there's a whole issue with the fuel that the ships use. So there could be some weird increases in the price of fuel for something that we weren't really ready for.
And that impacts trucking, of course.
It does. It does. And of course, anytime it costs more to ship something, we pay for it.
It's not just going to go away.
It's all passed on to the consumer.
Right.
And when you think about it, everything in this studio was delivered by truck.
Probably.
So So
no question. Most things in the country.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So that can have a pretty dramatic effect on different things.
Last time you were here, we talked about a study that was just out that said the greater Boston area had the worst traffic in the country. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Now there's a study that says the incidence of folks being hit by cars running red lights is at an all-time high. Are the two of them connected?
In certain ways, they really are.
Yeah.
I mean, more congestion, and somebody a whole lot smarter than me needs to look at this. But right now, we're seeing about 2 pedestrian deaths a day, and
Across the country?
Across the country, yeah. So, and those numbers have gone up quite a bit in the past 10 years.
And that's just for red light running.
Yeah,
right?
and that's just for red light running. And you kind of look at those numbers and you say, well, what does it really mean? And some of it has to do with congestion. All of a sudden, traffic gets heavy, it gets slow, people get frustrated. The light turns either red and somebody says, I can make it through.
Right.
And it's time to remind people what a yellow light really means. A yellow light means, when you took driver's ed a million years ago, it means, slow down or stop if it's safe to do so. Well, people don't slow down for yellow lights, let alone stop for them. And
they speed up,
Yeah,
actually.
they speed up to try to get through it,
Right.
so they don't have to be there when it's red. And that's when some of the problems happen because they're chasing that yellow light through the intersection. That's one of the problems. The other one is that I think some people take that opportunity when they stop for a red light. They look at their phone, they get
Absolutely.
distracted, and then all of a sudden they just go,
Yes.
and maybe the light hasn't even turned green yet, and they go through. So there's a lot of studies that need to be done still to see why this happens, but it's pretty simple and pretty preventable. Don't go through the red light is really what it comes down to. And even more so, right turn on red. First off, the rules for right turn on red: stop, look to make sure it's safe, and then turn right on red. And at the same time, you're looking for pedestrians that could be legally crossing at a pedestrian crossing light. And it doesn't mean, oh, it's right, so I can just zip right around it and not slow down. So that's another reason that people getting killed or injured at red light intersections. So
And those right on red rules vary from state to state.
they
too.
vary from state to state. Here in Massachusetts, it's pretty much right on red. Most states allow it unless there's a sign that says you can't.
Right, yeah.
Here in Massachusetts, you can also turn right on a red arrow. Where usually,
really?
where usually a red arrow prohibits you from doing something. Here in Massachusetts, if you were silly enough to drag out the driver's manual, it says that a red light and a red arrow serve the same function.
Oh, I just learned something. I did not know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is different than, say, for instance, our neighboring states in New Hampshire or in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
So in most cases, an intersection with a red arrow will have a sign that says no right on red.
Yes.
But not always.
Right.
And people see that and they just sail right through. And that's another reason why some of these problems happen. So, we're really just trying to educate people. Red lights are required. You stop, you look, you make sure it's safe, because you don't want to cause any injury, because then all of a sudden, it's become very complicated. And that extra second or two that it took to look, you're going to gain that back somewhere.
And how much of it too, and not to put blame on the victim certainly, but is distracted pedestrians?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you see people that they have their phones out and they're walking, looking down. They never look up. They walk through the intersection.
Absolutely. See it
Happens all the time.
Yep.
Whether it happens here in Quincy or Boston. Some of the bigger cities certainly. And people are kind of walking for exercise. Sometimes it happened recently to somebody I saw. They were FaceTiming with a friend of theirs. They were walking. They were staring into the phone, and they walked out into traffic around a parked car. And not a good idea.
No.
Not a good idea. Yeah.
And the police, I know, advise folks, just take one earbud out.
That's right.
Just take
That's
one
right.
earbud out so you
Yep.
can hear what's going on around you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's so important to make sure you're always try to be as safe as you can when you're on the road.
Sure. Speaking of safety, talk about these rear seat monitors that some vehicles come with now, so you don't forget your kid in the back seat.
Yeah, which maybe I never had kids, where I never had kids. I don't quite understand how all that happens, but and it's kind of funny. It's even people say, well, a good reminder, put your cell phone back there with your kid. And I'm like, why is it you remember your cell phone, but you don't remember your child? But I suppose if it works, it worked. But yeah, some cars now, we're seeing them in a lot of General Motors cars and a lot of Nissan vehicles now, that when you get out of the car, and the way the system works, it doesn't necessarily detect a person. It detects that you open the back door.
Okay.
So even if you put a grocery bag in the back seat, when you shut off your car and you're going to get out, a warning's going to come up on the dash that says check the back seat.
Okay.
And that's supposed to work. The problem is, and I hate to be so skeptical on things, cars with push button start.
Yep.
People forget to shut them off.
Really?
They just get out of the car, they walk away, and the car's sitting there running, and it's some big tragedy. Sometimes it's running in people's garages, and they end up with carbon monoxide poisoning. But a lot of times it just runs till it runs out of gas, and because they forgot to shut the car off. Well, when you walk away with your keys in your pocket, the horn beeps and the lights flash, and people just ignore it and walk away. So a little warning that comes up on the dash that says check the back seat to make sure your child's there. I'm not so sure how well that's going to work. And if you put other stuff in the back seat, you get used to oh, it's just my bag in the back seat. I know it's there, and it's the.
It's fine.
Yeah,
I don't need it right now.
Yeah, it's my groceries I picked up this morning. They'll be fine in the car all day.
Yeah.
And you forget. And I mean, it's so tragic when it happens. The other part of it is, studies have shown that somewhere between 20 and 30% of the kids that have been trapped in cars actually get in there on their own.
Oh.
So they get in and then they can't get out.
Okay.
Lock your car when you get out.
Sure.
Make sure that no one can get in your car. And again, it
Common
seems like
sense,
a simple solution. Look and make sure there's nobody back there.
I think you'll hear that 90% of the cars that get broken into are unlocked.
Unlocked, exactly.
Which is boggling to me because all you need to do is press a button.
Just
you can do it from
press a
inside your
button.
house.
Yeah, it's not even hard anymore. It's not even
Right.
70% of the people don't even have to take their key out. They
Right.
just push a button and it's that easy.
Sure. I did read somewhere too where a lot of these driver-assisted systems now, they do lane departure warnings and blind side protection. People are kind of getting immune to them because there's so many of them.
Well,
Or shutting them off.
Well, we're not good drivers.
Yeah.
Lane departure warning and lane departure correction. So you're driving down the road, and when you drift out of the lane, it vibrates your seatbelt, it vibrates the seat, something happens, and then in some cases it actually tugs the steering wheel back into the middle of the lane. Well, if you were a good driver, those things wouldn't work.
Right.
So, and it's kind of amazing, and I don't consider myself the best driver in the world, but it's amazing how often I drive a car like that, and it beeps and vibrates at me because I am drifting over towards the line and the edge of the road.
At least more than it prefers.
Yeah, exactly. So it tells me, no, pay attention to what you're doing.
Yeah.
So what do I do? Do I become a better driver or do I shut it off?
Right.
I shut it off.
Right,
Because I don't want
because
to.
you know what you're doing.
I don't want to tell me what to do.
Right.
But the other problem is part of it is maintenance too, because the roads aren't maintained quite the way they should be. So when some of the lines start to deteriorate so badly, or you drive over a part of the road that's been recently repaired,
Yes.
and the lines aren't there for a minute,
Yep.
the systems get a little bit confused and they don't quite know what to do when they beep at you. And so again, you reach over and you shut them off. Systems like backup cameras, well, they're pretty effective.
Yes.
You go to back up, you look over, but none of these systems take the place of an engaged driver.
Yeah.
So just like the red light running, just like making sure you didn't leave a child in the back seat, you still need to be an engaged driver. And all of these are just sort of a backup to that. So it's important that we still don't rely on these. We just need to think of them as just a backup system for ourselves.
Okay.
So we can't get lazy because of the technology.
Real quick, John, coming into the fall now, what kinds of things should we be taking care of on our vehicles after a long, hot summer?
The three main reasons we go out to rescue people, summer or winter: people with flat tires, people with dead batteries, and people who lock their keys in the car.
Okay.
So if you hold on to your keys, that's one thing you can always take care of. Tires for the winter time. Good winter tires will get you through almost any kind of weather, but decent tires will get you through most of the weather we have here in New England. If you take a quarter and put it head first into the tread of the tires, and the tread doesn't come up to at least the top of George Washington's head, it means you have less than 4/30 seconds of tread in your tires. We used to use a penny, but inflation got in the way. So.
Okay, it's up to a quarter
I
now.
had to use it, yeah. So but it's the difference between a penny was actually 2/30 seconds, a quarter's 4, and we've done some studies that show in wet and slippery weather, having tires worn below 4/30 seconds could extend stopping distances by 150 feet at 60 miles an hour. So the same stopping distances also give you good traction.
Okay.
So make sure your tread's in good shape. If your battery in your car is more than 3 years old, have it checked.
Okay.
And batteries in New England last somewhere just a little bit under 5 years. So if you have a 5-year-old car with the original battery in it, it's probably getting on borrowed
You're pushing
time.
it, yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
All right, AAA.com as always, right?
AAA.com. If people have a question they want to ask me, AAA.com/car doctor. There's a little section they can ask me a question. I will answer it.
All right, appreciate it, John.
All
Great
right.
to see you.
Thank you.
Happy fall.
Happy fall.
Just enough time to recap the forecast for you for the rest of the day today. Increasing cloudiness and some rain moving in this afternoon. Temperatures at around 70 degrees. The effects of Dorian will be felt starting tonight through the overnight hours and into tomorrow morning with some wind and some rain gusting around 30, 35 or so. Maybe inch and a half or two of rain. But look at Sunday. It clears right out. Apple picking weather and nice on Monday as well. Thanks again going out to John Paul from AAA Northeast. Thanks to our crew and thank you for watching. Monday at 11:30, Irene Lutz is here from Quinn Cycles on another edition of Currently in Quincy. We'll see you then.